Hi, everyone. Welcome back to episode 104 of the Guardian Project podcast. I'm your host, Andy, and this would be a longer intro, but if it was any longer, we would run out of time.
Ah, nice. That's pretty good. And I'm your other host, Mike Coyle, and there's a new modern deck that's doing a lot of work, and it's involving Hollow One and everything, and a discard strategy. Madness.
Please listen carefully.
And this is the podcast where we talk about all things Magic the Gathering,
But mostly Commander.
So there's a couple of news updates that we saw this week. One actually hot off the press, actually really exciting. I think a lot of people are really excited about this one. There's an announcement that came out related to Secret Lair Universes Beyond. So we've seen this already last year with the Walking Dead Secret Lair, where there were mechanically unique cards that were released that had no other outlet to purchase them other than directly through Wizards of the Coast, and it definitely was not like the Godzilla cards where they had like a magic card name, but it was Godzilla whatever, and then it had like the magic card name under it that you could find in Ikoria packs for most of them, except I guess obviously the buy a box promo,
which they don't do anymore.
They don't do anymore. But so they are changing this up. So they are going to create and print versions of the mechanically unique Secret Lair Universes Beyond cards in Magic's multiverse. Approximately 6 months after the Secret Lair comes out. They said, not exact timing here, but they're gonna put those into other sets. The in Magic versions will be available on the list that you can pull from set boosters as long as the players are still invested in opening them, and they're going to appear on the list more frequently than other cards to make them easier to find. And then in the future, they may reprint these cards in other products because they'll have that flexibility. And then these cards will be considered equivalent game pieces, meaning you can play 4 copies of either the Magic version or the Universes Beyond version in your deck. So I know the Rick Steadfast Leader, the human, is very popular. I will. It's either Vintage or Legacy. One of them is playing it in the deck because it like does absolute work.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to play with Rick, you might be able to get a different one. But this set, specifically the Walking Dead, is being excluded from this. So they're not going to make an equivalent game piece for that one.
And now from what I'm hearing, what I read, it is also only for the Secret Lair exclusive cards. And so we know that we're going to have a Warhammer 40,000 Commander deck series coming up. So those probably are not considered to be part of the Secret Lair series to get their own alternate card.
Yeah, interesting. I didn't think about that. And there's going to be a full Lord of the Rings set as well. So I'm not sure. I
guess hopefully there's a Secret Lair release along with the Lord of the Rings set so that you can have those legendary creatures as part of the Secret Lair and not part of the main box set.
Yeah, Sauron and Saruman, right? So you can confuse the two like I do, because I thought people were just pronouncing them wrong, and they're actually different characters, and that was what they decided to go with.
Completely different characters.
Yeah, but the names very, very similar.
There's an extra syllable in one of them.
Yeah, but like it feels like someone might have just been pronouncing it wrong.
I get it. I guess if you like read the books first, maybe it would be better. But
probably.
I didn't. I read the books afterward. So, because I was a child when Fellowship came out.
That's true.
I wasn't a good reader.
I also was a child when that came out.
All right. So the next piece of news, we have Jumpstart returning to MTG Arena. Yeah. So it is already out there by the time you're listening to this, and it's going to be out there until July 8th. If you didn't get a chance to play Jumpstart on MTG Arena before, you will have the opportunity now until July 8th.
Yeah, and a lot of people were really excited about that before because we had a really hard time getting our hands on Jumpstart in paper. There was that reprint. You can definitely find copies of the. You can find boxes, boosters of that set now. I'm not sure if Target has Jumpstart. I don't know if it ever was. Do you know if that makes it there? Jumpstart packs?
Yeah, Jumpstart packs made it to Target. They had like the what is it, 4 packs?
Do they have
they did.
So you can play with 2 people. Okay.
They might not anymore.
Yeah.
The reprint might have been only booster boxes.
Only booster boxes. Yeah, so you can find that. And additionally, this weekend is Modern Horizons 2, the pre-release. So the pre-release happened last week. If anyone was able to check that out, we will post in the show notes below a primer from Gavin Verhey from Good Morning Magic if you're interested in finding out what strategies you can play. And then I know we're picking up pre-release kits, and we're going to be able to get together with some friends this weekend to actually play with the set. So I'm excited because we won't have our cards. We have them on order, so we probably won't have them the day they come out, but this will give us that little taste,
a little edge,
see
if we pick up our new commanders in the 6 packs that we open or not,
or the promo. And wouldn't that be even better if it's the promo card?
I'll sell it and then buy the non-promo version of it.
You can sell it to me.
Sure.
Yeah, because I like those foils.
You can have my U3 because I'm definitely getting a gift box.
Oh, so, perfect. Yeah. I'll need that. So Coyle, you streamed this weekend.
Yes, this weekend I streamed with Fitz, aka Mr. Fitzy Fitz, or his Twitch channel Ayota MTG. He had me on there along with Mono White Border and Angelo, the Jez guy.
Yeah.
So that was a ton of fun. We played 2 games. First game went pretty long. Second game went pretty quick, and I enjoyed both of them quite a bit. And if I'm not sure if Fitz does editing or anything, so I don't want to give it away. But you can check out the VODs at least on the Twitch channel at Ayota MTG.
Yes, AOTA MTG. And then I streamed with Moderately Anonymous MTG. I got to play some more CEDH this weekend. You can find their channel, twitch.tv/Moderately Anonymous MTG. I got to play some more Malcolm Vile Smasher, but mostly Selvala Explorer Return. So I got to play my Parlay Selvala, which was always very exciting. Folks in chat were very interested. Lots of comments. I love Twiddle Storm. It's because you essentially you're tapping and untapping, and you're trying to parlay to draw cards to combo to force your opponents to draw out of their decks and not have the ability to interact with you. And then you can play the Green Sun Zenith and put it back in your library so you don't deck yourself. But there's also some other combos there. So I got my first win, which I don't believe we're going to see on the YouTube channel. Okay. So I got to play Allosaurus Shepherd. That's
Allosaurus Shepherd.
Not Allosaurus Rider, Allosaurus Shepherd, not the Rider, the Shepherd. The one that's ridiculously expensive from Jumpstart.
Correct.
But it's an elf that can turn every elf into a 5/5. And I just got to play some CEDH beats, which was very refreshing. And not just seeing myself combo out, which is, okay, classic me.
That could be refreshing too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If you combo every game, it's wonderful.
Yeah, right. Speaking of that, I'm going to be working on our deck tech for this month. Is actually kind of a combo deck. It's my Niambi Esteem Speaker deck. Awesome. So if you want to check that out later this month, you can subscribe to our Patreon. We do monthly deck techs. And we got lots of other, really fun rewards that we can send to you. So you can check that out at patreon.com/The Guardian Project and donate for any dollar amount.
Yeah, USPS actually says that our new examples of our new tokens should be arriving tomorrow.
I was going to ask you about that. So we're testing out some new token design with a new material that should hopefully be full dry erase, fingers crossed, and then we're going to have a new design likely ordered. So if you're already a patron, probably just going to send you some. Yeah. Because why not? We need you to test out the new product.
That's right. We need you to
word of mouth. And then we'll send them out to a bunch of other people too.
That's right. Yeah. That's what we do.
It's good stuff. So Coyle, what's on the agenda this week?
Before we go into that, I just want to say, if you're looking for another way to support the podcast, whatever you're listening to the podcast on now, if you could comment, subscribe, follow. If you're listening on YouTube, you can hit that bell icon to get notifications whenever we release new videos. So on the agenda for this week, now that we have Modern Horizons 2 completely previewed, it's our turn to review all of the cards in Modern Horizons 2, how we are going to use them, maybe some commanders that we're looking to build, definitely cards that we're putting in our commander decks or building new commander decks around. So that's what we're going to do today.
I think we should check out what's on the horizons.
2 of them.
There's 2 horizons. Okay, so starting out, it was pointed out online, and I did check because I had to make sure I wasn't crazy here. There was no mono white legendary in this set, and I don't know. There must be some folks that look for that every set that comes out. We didn't get one here. I did not go back to figure out how many mono white legends we've received in the last couple of sets, but I understand there's probably a few occasionally. Humans, Commander Legends, we got a few mono white creatures.
In Strixhaven, I know we had at least one.
We had Mavinda. What came out before that? Call-Time definitely had mono white legendaries.
We had a couple gods.
Yeah, so it's been a minute, I guess, since we've got it, but we did not get one there. No mono white legendary. But the first card that I'm excited to add to a deck, I feel like I should build it because of where they're from. is Lannis Cryptozoologist. So Lannis is a 1/2 elf scout for a green and a blue that says whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, investigate. So you're going to get a clue. We're going to find the way to win the game. Still haven't figured that out
Is
yet,
that what
though.
clue tokens are doing?
Clue tokens, you get to draw cards.
I guess.
You know,
So
them.
you got to win. You got to win games by sacrificing your clue tokens or creating clue tokens. Which one are you going to do?
I would like to just create clue tokens,
Okay,
I guess.
okay.
Maybe mechanized production clues.
Yeah, mechanized production. Do a little altar of the brood, alternate.
Ooh,
win
altar
con.
of the clues.
Altar of the clues.
Altar of the clues. So Lannis Cryptozoologist also says, tap it, sack X clues. Target opponent reveals the top X cards of their library. You may put a non-land permanent card with mana value X or less from among them onto the battlefield under your control. That player puts the rest of them on the bottom of their library in a random order. So it's also really nice that we're getting back to Magic and paper, because this is very difficult to play in online Magic.
Oh, extremely different.
But Lannis is from Ravnica, specifically from the Simic Guild.
Okay. What's the Simic Guild doing investigating out there? They're usually the troublemakers.
That's a good question. But now we've got clues to figure out what's behind evolving.
I'm guessing, I guess we don't know what era Lannis is from, right? We don't know if it's new Ravnica or old Ravnica.
Honestly, I don't know. And I don't know if the guide has come out yet to tell us anything about the lore behind any of these yet. I haven't seen that article yet, so I don't think we know who these folks are yet.
I'd be interested to see if it's new Ravnica and now we have to start investigating because there's some sneaky stuff happening with some of these other guilds, some of these other sneaky guilds going on.
We're being sneaky, we got clues to figure out who's behind it, who done it. That should be a Ravnica, the murder mystery.
It's was it Lazav?
Starring Lannis, who did it?
You should just say, was it Lazav? That's really what should be. Not a who done it. Was it Lazav?
No, it was Lazav and Rat.
All right. My first card that I want to talk about is actually, I'm cheating. I'm talking about two cards here because they go so well together in a way. So the two cards both belong in my Shirei Shizo's Caretaker deck. So Shirei Shizo's Caretaker is a 2/2 spirit for 5 mana, 3 black, 4 and a black. I'm doing this off memory. That says whenever a creature dies at your end step, if Shirei is still on the battlefield, if that creature had 1 power or less, return that creature to the battlefield. So these two cards fit that 1 power criteria, and that is Mere Scrappling, which is a 1 generic mana for a 1/1 colorless artifact creature Mere. It says sacrifice Mere Scrappling to put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. The ability to sacrifice itself makes it very, very valuable in a Shirei deck. Typically, you don't want to be putting +1/+1 counters on your creatures because pumping them up makes it so that they actually dodge the Shirei ability. But now we can make Shirei like a 40/40 and swing with it. So I really like the idea of doing that. There are some other +1/+1 synergy cards in the deck, like Mindless Automaton, where you can remove +1/+1 counters to draw cards, which would work well with it. It's not necessary. So most of the time, being able to sacrifice itself, getting a Blood Artist trigger or an extra treasure from Pitiless Plunderer or something is going to be the most useful use for it. The other card is Nested Shambler. This is a 1/1 zombie for 1 black. That says when Nested Shambler dies, create X tapped 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens, where X is Nested Shambler's power. In your Shirei deck, this is always going to be 1 power. You're always going to be getting 1 squirrel token, but having a token generator on something that dies, and it only costs 1 mana, makes this a very, very useful card for a Shirei deck.
You haven't played Shirei with me. It's been a long time, but you've had 3 Shirei decks. You've had just Shirei Jank, and then Shirei Discard, and then
this is like Shirei, just semi-optimized, I guess.
I've enjoyed watching you play all of them, and it's one of those. It started out as an uncommon, right, from Kamigawa. Did it get up to rare, or was it rare from Kamigawa that's now an uncommon?
Uncommon from Masters 25.
But we play the rare version.
So I have a foil in both.
Ooh.
I play the rare version, of course.
Of course. Well, I'm excited to see that. The next card I've got is a card that enables me to play 2 cards that I haven't used for a really long time, except for when I used to play a 60 card like casual tabletop with friends, like literally 6 years ago. So this is Sithis, Harvest's Hand. So this is a 1/2 legendary enchantment creature nymph for a green and a white. That says whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you gain 1 life and draw 1 card. And so, I mean, gaining life is cool, but drawing cards, I mean, this says draw a card on your commander.
It does say,
you know? So there's 2 cards here that are really, really neat to play with. I did tweet about them. So if you follow me on Twitter, you've probably seen this already because I was very excited. But there are a few auras that you can attach to a creature and then pay to have them come back to your hand. So one of them being Whip Silk. So it says enchant creature for a green. Enchanted creature may block as though it had flying. So I believe the actual oracle text is this creature has reach. And then you can pay 1 green to return it to its owner's hand. So for 2 green, you get to gain a life and draw a card. I mean,
sounds great.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
That sounds really great. And then Flickering Ward is an enchant creature for 1 white from Tempest that says, when you play Flickering Ward, choose a color. Enchanted creature gains protection from the chosen color. Pay 1 white, return Flickering Ward to its owner's hand. So for white, you get to gain a life and draw a card. But you can leave it down so your creature has protection from the color. Same with Whip Silk to give it reach. And then you just return it to your hand at end of turn because maybe you're holding up Path to Exile or something. So these are really great if you find a way to get some sort of mana outlet, or these are great mana outlets for that. And if you have some enormous amount of mana, which you're playing green, so I mean, it's probably possible. And you might even be playing, a Smothering Tithe or something because you're also in white.
Yeah.
It's possible that you might just be able to draw like 2, 3, 4 cards around. I would not be surprised. In the late game, these are bomb draws.
Yeah, and now that is the most mana efficient. They did print in Modern Horizons 2 Skyblade's Boon, which is a 2 mana enchantment aura, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 flying. You can pay 2 and a white to return Skyblade's Boon to its owner's hand. Activate only if it's on the battlefield or in the graveyard. In this case, we only want it on the battlefield. It costs 5 mana. But it's a brand new thing. It's an uncommon Modern Horizons 2. Maybe I don't know what the price is for those other 2 cards.
They're real cheap. Well, Flickering Ward might be like $3, but
okay.
I think Whip Silk is like 20 cents.
There you go. So you already have budget ways to do it.
But you might as well put all 3 in then.
Put all 3 in.
Why not? What? All 3
in your sealed Modern Horizons 2 commander deck.
You can't do it there. Because you can't get Whip Silk and Flickering Ward.
No, you can't get Whip Silk and Flickering Ward, but you can get this one for 5 mana. That's an uncommon.
Exactly. Maybe we'll get a few of it.
Yeah. All right. So my first legendary creature, interestingly enough, is mono red. I know Andy's been taking over the mono red show.
I know.
Here.
I'm glad I didn't do that this time.
Is Captain Ripley Vance. So Captain Ripley Vance is 2 and a red for a 3/2 human pirate. Says whenever you cast your 3rd spell each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Captain Ripley Vance, then it deals damage equal to its power to any target. So we've seen a lot of red legendary creatures lately care a lot about like storming off and casting multiple spells per turn. I know Ryonia was one, but we had Bergie in Call Time too. So it seems to be an ongoing theme. And luckily they're printing cards like Jessica's Will and stuff to allow us to get card advantage without drawing cards and
even the mana there too.
For sure. So when you're building Captain Ripley Vance, you might want to go all in on the just like pumping him or putting equipment on Ripley. You can go with a pirate sub thing too if you want to go mono red pirate and you want to pump your creatures this way. So the way I was looking at this deck was actually via Cranko Tin Street Kingpin.
King Street
TinPin. He gets more goblins when he attacks based on his power. So I was looking at all these pump spells and stuff, and you're going to play cards like Unleash Fury that double a creature's power. And I guess my strategy behind a Captain Ripley Vance deck would try to be taking out people with a one shot with Captain's ability on its third cast, do damage. See how big I can get Captain Ripley Vance first.
Yeah. So the card that we initially saw from Vance was Vance's Blasting Cannons back in Ixalan. So this was an enchantment that says, at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. If it's a non-land card, you can cast it. And when you cast your third spell, this is one of those transform lands that you probably don't ever see because most people play Growing Rights of Ithlamok. In Standard, we were playing the Adanto, the first fort, which I forget what the other side is. I know the first fort because that's the actual land side.
Legion's Landing.
Legion's Landing. So this one turns into a land that taps for red or has pay 3 to lightning bolt something. I mean, I feel like for flavor, you gotta play Vance's Blasting Cannon.
I will not be playing Vance's Blasting Cannon in Captain Ripley Storm. It's on curve to Captain Ripley Storm, and that really makes it so I don't want to cast it then.
How much is
3?
This costs 4.
Oh, I definitely don't want to cast it then. I want to be casting 3 spells on turn 4. 3 spells on turn 4, not 1.
Exactly. So that's a really fun commander. One that seems like it'll be really fun to do something interesting with.
It should be.
Another really interesting commander here is, and I hope I get this right, it's Asmorano, Martika Deist, and Nakoldakar.
That sounds right.
I practiced it.
I can tell.
I had to watch some videos. And I was like, oh, this is really hard to sound this one out. This does not have a mana value. It's a 3/3 human wizard that says as long as you've discarded a card this turn, you may pay hybrid black or red to cast the spell. When Asmorano, Martika Deist, and Nakoldakar enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a card named the Underworld Cookbook. Reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. And it has sacrifice 2 foods. Target creature deals 6 damage to itself. So this card was referenced back in Alpha on apparently Granite Gargoyle. So people have been waiting apparently years and years and years asking for this card to be made. So I'll be honest, I didn't know this card existed until it was previewed. And the lore behind this character is crazy because it was like they were taken to hell and had to make food for a demon. And the demon was like, you have to make me something different every day or I'll eat you. And they did. And then the demon was like, all right, your service is done. You can go back to being where you were. You can continue to cook for me with no threat of me eating you or whatever, or killing you. And they were like, well, okay, but I kind of want to go back to where I was. And the guy said, well, okay, that's fine, but you have to make this cookbook of all the food that you made. Oh, okay. So they collected they made this cookbook, and they only made like 10 copies of this cookbook. One was bought by the demon and one was bought by their mother.
Okay.
And then the sales were really bad, so they had imps destroy them.
Okay.
The rest because of that. And that's the deal with the cookbook.
Wow. That's a lot. Why is this character's name so long? Did they explain that in the lore?
They did not. But for the longest time, apparently they didn't make it because the name couldn't fit on a magic card.
Yeah.
And so they did it with this and then gave it an alternate cost to cast.
I was about to ask, do you think they could have squished the name a little bit and put the casting cost there, but I think they did it on purpose. Like, this name has to be in this whole frame, so we got to figure something else.
Yeah, and the actual flavor text on Granite Gargoyle says, while most overworlders fortunately don't realize this, gargoyles can be most delicious providing you have the appropriate tools to carve them.
Yeah.
So
carving granite.
I would like to see Magic create this cookbook or like the recipes. That would have been really fun. We got to see stuff with Throne of Eldraine. We got to, they've done some funny things. This would have been one of those PR stunts that would have been, I would have eaten that up.
I think it was like 4 years ago, something. I got a Walking Dead cookbook. So no, you can make a cookbook for anything that's on theme. They could do this. This would be easy.
Yeah. So I'm excited to play with this commander. I actually, next week on our episode, when we talk about Commander Spellbook, which is going to be a new recurring series after we talk about the cards we want to add, there are some really neat things that you can add to this deck that Asmor is the shortened name that most people are referencing this character now with. Asmor can actually take advantage of. So more to come next week, but this is a really neat card.
Yeah. All right. So the next card we're going to talk about is one that I think a lot of people are excited about. It is a hybrid color card for commander purposes. This card is called Dam.
Damn.
So Damn is a sorcery for black. It says destroy target creature. A creature destroyed this way can't be regenerated. Or you can overload it for 2 white and a white, meaning you destroy each creature, and a creature destroyed this way can't be regenerated. And there's a bunch of split cards and stuff that have like a special naming convention where it's like farm table, it's farm 2 table and stuff. And I really think
Fire and Ice.
I really think that Damn should have its own overload name, and it should be like Damn It All or something.
Oh, the overloaded one is called All.
Yeah, Damn It All.
That's one that they haven't explored yet. They've
Right.
done and 2, right? Farm to table, Fire and Ice. What were the ones from the guild set? Because Fire and Ice was, I think, original Ravnica. I can't remember the exact.
They were and, so like Find and Finality.
Oh, those were and as well.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay,
Yeah.
now they need to do 2.
Or ors?
Or
I guess?
it.
Do they have
It.
ors?
I don't know.
Maybe they need ors. It's ands or buts.
It's ands or buts.
It's ands or buts.
About it.
We're all about it.
We're all about it.
So yeah, I'm very excited for Damn being both a spot removal and a board wipe card.
That's
so the
really-
modal ability. Mana cost is kind of weird on it. Black versus an overload, which requires white. So it's a little heavy on the pips. But like in formats outside of Commander, you can play this in a white deck or you can play this in a black deck either way, and you're good to go. So it's a pretty cool card.
Yeah. So the next card that I have here is a card. Actually, there's 2. I'm going to talk about 2 here that go into my coin flip deck. So this is Tavern Scoundrel and then Usri Fortune's Flame. So Tavern Scoundrel says whenever you win a coin flip, create 2 treasures. It's a 1/3 human rogue for 1 and a red, and has pay 1 and tap it to sack another permanent and flip a coin. That's just really good when you're playing Zyndersplit and Okan, which is the coin flip commanders extraordinaire that most people think about when you think about coin flips. And then Usri Fortune's Flame is a 2/3 Ifrit for 1, a blue and a red that says flying. Whenever Usri Fortune's Flame attacks, choose a number between 1 and 5, flip that many coins. For each flip you win, you draw a card. For each flip you lose, it deals 2 damage to you. And if you won 5 flips, you may cast spells from your hand this turn without paying their mana cost. So you get an Omniscience until end of turn, and you draw 5 cards. So if you're running Krark's Other Thumb, and you have, or Krark's Thumb, not Krark's Other Thumb,
Not
because
Krark's Other.
that's the silver border one.
That's right.
Krark's Thumb, you might actually make that, but with Tavern Scoundrel, you're gonna get a lot of mana.
Tons of mana.
And that deck needs it. It needs a lot of mana because you're playing a sub game of 50-50 chance of getting where you need to be.
Fair.
So you're already kind of playing against the odds. But with Frenetic Ifrit, which has now spiked to over $40, the Ifrit that says pay 0, flip a coin. And if you can activate that in response to it to flip as many coins as you want. So, with Tavern Scoundrel, you go infinite mana. And with Usri, you can draw out of your deck if you're running like Lab Maniac and Jace Wielder of Mysteries or Thassa's Oracle, I guess.
But with Usri, it's also dealing damage to you. So you have to make sure.
Well, so I wonder if the damage resolves as each one happens, because I wonder if you can draw into like a Chaos Warp and then warp it away while the rest of them resolve.
The flip would resolve. I guess, yeah, you flip a coin, draw a card.
Correct. You're supposed to resolve them individually with Zyndersplit and Okan. Most people go, I flip 5, I win 5, I draw 5, it
Right.
pumps. But it is supposed to be one at a time.
Which in the case of Usri, I think we're going to have... I don't think you can really shortcut it anymore, unfortunately. Because unless you have something on the battlefield that says prevent all non-combat damage that would be dealt to you or something like the Wanderer. Or
you know what? I think Usri is only on itself. It doesn't count it. It says when Usri attacks, choose a number. It's not a static. So I don't think it matters. So with the Tavern Scoundrel, Frenetic Ifrit is kind of crazy and that card is shooting up. Please don't buy it right now. But the problem is it is, I believe, reserve list. So I don't know if it's going to go back down, but it did go up to 15 and then back down to 3 a couple of years ago because it's not the most popular commander.
And reserve list, if you're not paying attention to the finance world right now, reserve list is kind of plateauing, so maybe it will come back down a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be worth the wait. And if you're playing a Krark deck too, definitely check out those cards if you have the colors to fit the Usri in there. If you're running blue in your Krark deck. Next card is an enchantment, a black enchantment that I really like for 3 and a black. It's called Feast of Sanity. So Feast of Sanity says whenever you discard a card, Feast of Sanity deals 1 damage to any target and you gain 1 life. So I don't know if you've seen all these discard outlets in this set, but there's a lot.
Yeah.
Including the reprinting of Scourge Familiar, which is a 5 mana 3/2 imp with flying. This is discard a card, add a black to your mana pool. So there was a combo built into Gitrog deck using the enchantment called Faith of the Devoted, which is 2 and a black enchantment. Says whenever you cycle or discard a card, you may pay 1 generic mana, and if you do, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. This comboed with Scourge Familiar because you could discard to get the mana in order to pay into Faith of the Devoted.
Mm-hmm.
But now with Feast of Sanity, you don't have to pay the mana, which means you can use literally any free discard outlet, which makes it a lot more powerful. It's really, I know it's 4 mana for this enchantment versus 3 mana for the enchantment from Amonkhet. The 1 extra mana so that you don't have to search for Scourge Familiar makes this really, really strong.
Yeah, those Gitrog CEDH players are like, oh, this is great.
It's unbelievably good.
Yeah, that deck's neat. It's one of the decks you can't shortcut it, so you still just got to watch them play it out. But if you're going for it, go for it.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah,
so hopefully you'll be able to fit this enchantment into your Gitrog decks.
Yes. My next card here is Late to Dinner. So this is a sorcery for 3 and a white that says return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. Create a food token. Who's going to make a food that you can sack to gain 3 life, or I guess do something else with because there's other artifact strategies. This card is a strictly better False Defeat, which is a card from Portal 3 Kingdoms that is a sorcery for 3 and a white that says return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. There was no food.
Now you get food.
Now you also get food. So Late to Dinner costs 70 cents and False Defeat is $26 for the same.
So really both cost about $13 each if you're buying them at the same time.
Exactly. So you split the difference. So I run a Niambi Esteemed Speaker Legendary Creature Reanimator deck. There aren't, black gets to return creatures from the graveyard to the battlefield. White has it sometimes. This set, they gave it to white black, which that's cool. Mm-hmm. So I got a couple more. But if you are looking to pick up a False Defeat, might just want to pick up some Late to Dinner or both.
Just pick up 2 and proxy 1 to a False Defeat and just cross off the part that says create a food token on the card.
Or you could do that.
Done. All right. So the next card I know is one that Andy and I are I think, equally excited about for different reasons. And that is Academy Manufactor. So This is a 3 generic mana, 1/3 artifact creature assembly worker. This is if you would create a clue, food, or treasure token, instead create 1 of each. So this is good in literally any deck that consistently creates clues, foods, or treasure tokens because you get more tokens. I have an Abzan tokens deck that this fits in really, really well because it can make clues, foods, and treasures very easily, and being able to create all 3 with Nadir, who likes it when any token leaves the battlefield. And now I'm getting a bunch of tokens every time I make 1. I did consider this for She-Ray. It does have the right amount of power for a She-Ray deck. I just don't think my token generation of those particular types of tokens are good enough. Yeah,
Lannis and Asmore. This is great in both. Mm-hmm. They care about food. That cookbook, we're going to cook some food, and Lannis is going to get all those clues.
Yes, and then I also made note here that Guillaume, I have only seen 1 build of Guillaume so far, but I imagine Guillaume would love this creature as well.
Yeah, I have not seen a Guillaume deck yet, but when we talk next week, I have a really spicy thing for Guillaume and Asmore, so we'll go through that. But that's a really cool card. We also saw a couple of cards getting printed in a color shifted way of an ability that is on the reserve list. So the first one here is Gaia's Will. Gaia's Will is a green card that has suspend 4 for 1 green mana. Until end of turn, you may play lands and cast spells from your graveyard. If a card would be put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn, exile that card instead. Yawgmoth's Will is a card that was printed back in Urza's Saga. That's a sorcery for 2 and a black that says until end of turn, you may play cards from your graveyard. If a card would be put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn, exile that card instead. So Yawgmoth's Will is really expensive. The version from Urza's Saga is showing up to $300 at this point. The judge promo is like $850. You can get the gold bordered ones for either 40 or 60. So we made it green now, but off of suspend for 4 turns. So like, I guess you have to be alive the turn that would go off. Hope it doesn't get countered. And have stuff in your graveyard to do. I mean, so there's a lot of ifs, but it's still interesting that the card got printed. I don't know if this one's going to see play. I had to mention it because it just seems really fun.
I think it will see play, but I don't think it's going to see play in its expected.
Yeah,
way
we're gonna
played.
cast it for free off of Cascade, or we're going to get it off of like a
New Perspective.
What's that blue card with the hands?
New Perspective, or
no. It's
As Foretold.
As Foretold.
Yes, New Perspectives from the same set. Sorry.
Yeah, I've got my hands together. No, so I agree with you. I don't know if there's going to make much of a splash in Commander. I could see it making a splash in other formats. This seems really fun, but I had to mention it because it's a reserve list ability here.
For sure.
Real cool.
Yeah, absolutely cool. Next card is, to a lot of people probably seems a lot less cool than the card, but I particularly like this card, and that is called Hard Evidence. So Hard Evidence is a blue sorcery for 1 blue that says you get to create a 0/3 blue crab creature token, and you investigate. 1 blue to make 2 tokens is really, really big deal to me. I played in a format back in the day where Thraben Inspector was the best 1-drop in the format, and that's a 1/2 for 1 and you get a clue token. This is a 0/3 for 1 and you get a clue token. This particularly fits in well to my Illuna deck because it creates a non-human token, as well as card draw on turn 2 if I don't have anything else with a clue token on Investigate. I think this is a really, really good card. Maybe people are going to overlook it because maybe top decking it on turn 20 wouldn't be that great for somebody. At least it turns into a 3-mana draw card.
But I also miss Thraben Inspector now.
You play it in humans, don't you?
No, not my Commander deck, but I ran it in my mono. The best deck that I've ever played in Standard was the mono white humans deck that include Thraben Inspector. Include id.
I played an Amonkhet and they were still playing Thraben Inspector.
Yeah, that one was out. That was out for a while.
A 1/2 for 1 was already really good, and this one gave you card draw. So
yeah.
hard Evidence is going to be the same thing.
I didn't think about this card, I'll be honest. I overlooked this one. Sometimes the commons and uncommons are real spicy. I had a few on my list.
Whenever a card says crab on it, people immediately think it's a meme. And so I have to look deeper into these cards.
Exactly. And we have another card here that has a reserve list ability on it. This one is Sanctum Weaver. So a 0/2 enchantment creature dryad for 1 and a green that says tap to add X mana of any one color where X is the number of enchantments you control. So this is very similar to Serra Sanctum. So Serra Sanctum is a land that says tap to add white to your mana pool for each enchantment you control. Serra Sanctum's about $340. Sanctum Weaver is around 10. 10. So 10, 350, almost 340. I'm gonna pick the 10. Yeah. If I had my Serra Sanctum that I hadn't sold last year, I would still be using it. But remember, I didn't like my Estra deck, so I didn't need to sit on the card.
All I'm saying is you cannot enchant a Serra Sanctum with a Freed from the Real. That's all I'm saying. We'll talk about that next week, though.
We'll talk about it. Yeah, Sanctum Weaver, I think is a cool card, and I think a lot of decks are going to see this card be played.
Huge. Okay, so the next card that I want to talk about is, a lot of people think that this is like the green-red version of Archaeomance, Goblin Archaeomance, or Goblin Electromancer. But I think it's a little bit different. So Goblin Arachnomancer for red and a green. You get a 2/2 Goblin Shaman that says each spell you cast that's red or green costs 1 less to cast. So this does not say instant or sorcery. This is any red spell or any green spell. So this is a creature that's acting both as a ruby medallion and an emerald medallion at the same time. And that's massive. I mean, those 2 cards by themselves are extremely expensive because of where they fit in to their particular decks. Most people only run them in monocolor decks. Hopefully people will see Goblin Arachnomancer or Archaeo.
I think it's Goblin. It's basically Goblin Archaeomancer.
An Anarchaeomancer.
It's
Anarchaeomancer.
Archaeomancer.
Anarchaeomancer.
I think we're just gonna call it that.
So if you're playing a deck, I mean that's Gruul or I mean you need to include this card. It reduces all of your costs, and it's a 2-mana creature for 2.
So I think this card fits really well into my Nakia deck.
For sure.
So it is a deck that only plays 1 spell. So everything that I'm going to play is a 1 non-creature spell. I should clarify. I don't run 99 lands in Nakia and 1 spell.
True.
It is lots of spells. So this is going to reduce the cost of all those creatures so that I can get the ones out that double my mana. I think this card's really cool. It reminds me a lot of the creature. I don't know why it reminds me of it, because it doesn't do anything similar to it. But the one that taps for mana and your opponents lose 1 life.
Zerta Druid.
Zerta Druid. I think it reminds me of Zerta Druid, but in the fact that I don't think it's played enough.
Sure.
And I hope this sees a lot of play.
I think if you're playing
in Commander, I hope this sees a lot of play in Commander.
If you're playing a 2-mana dork in Gruul, you should replace it with Goblin Anarchaeomancer, because this is better than any mana dork that you're going to have if it only produces 1 mana. Because I mean, I guess if you have a mana dork that's going to produce 10 mana, sure, for
Sanctum Weaver.
Sanctum Weaver is probably better in your deck that you put Sanctum Weaver in than Goblin Anarchaeomancer. But in any other Gruul deck, I mean, I have a Svella deck that all it wants to do is get Svella out, make the monoliths and then cast stuff for free off the top of my graveyard or top of my library. I'm still going to put Goblin and Archaeomancer in it, because that way Svella costs 1 less. If I ever have to hard cast anything from my hand, it'll cost 1 less. It is important to note that these 2 abilities don't stack, the red and the green. So if you have something that's red and green, it's not going to cost 2 less. But there's that key indicator of or in between red or green. If those 2 lines were separate, then you would get double cost reduction, or if it said and, you would get double cost reduction.
Yeah. This is from Ravnica. Flavor text.
A good Gruul shaman can work a whole clan into a frenzy. A great one will wait until the enemy's nearby. Wait, they're saying a great Gruul shaman doesn't just go crazy? What kind of Gruul thing is that? This is Gruul magic.
A great one's not going to make them go crazy, though.
Not going to make them go crazy. It's going to make things cheaper.
You bring more friends to the party when things are cheaper.
It's true. Unless the fire marshal's there.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, that's what
your party's not fun.
Well, I hope your party's fun. Then you have other problems that you have to solve if your party's not fun, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I have one more card on the list of cards that I would like to add to decks.
Okay.
And this one is going to be added to a deck that I talked about before wanting to build last week's episode. I want to build Breaches and Malcolm.
Mm-hmm.
So this is actually Ragavan Nimble Pilferer. I love this monkey. It's the best monkey. So Ragavan is a 2/1 for 1 red monkey pirate legendary that says when Ragavan Nimble Pilferer deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token and exile the top card of that player's library until end of turn. You may cast that card. It also has dash for 1 in a red. So if you're not familiar with dash, this is a mechanic that came out in Khans of Tarkir, or at least the Khans block, that says you may cast the spell for its dash cost. If you do, it gains haste and it's returned from the battlefield to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So you can pay 2 to swing with it immediately. And if there's no blockers, you're going to make a mana, at least exile the top card of the library. This is being touted as it may be one of the best mono, well, I guess 1-drop red creatures of all time.
Yeah.
This is so good.
I can definitely see that. I mean, it's got both Malcolm's ability and Breach's ability. I know Malcolm and Breaches care about all pirates and Ragavan only cares about itself, but it has both of their abilities on Ragavan itself. In Modern, this is crazy. I'm contemplating, like, I don't know if my Zoo deck needs to change up, but right now it could use Ragavan. I was going to say, like, Ragavan is going to make Blitz decks in Modern like even better than they already are, and they're already at the top of the list. I guess they're technically Teamer Blitz because they run mutagenic growth, but mutagenic growth only costs life in an Blitz deck, so that's why they really don't typically call it Teamer. But yeah, I mean, the amount of times that you swing at someone with your 2/2 goblin to reveal the top of their library and they get card advantage from the land. I can't remember the goblin's name right now.
I was actually looking that up right now because I couldn't remember the name of it. I haven't played that deck in over 2 years now.
Right.
And it's just been like sitting like in a drawer.
Your zoo deck's just been sitting in a drawer. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
I don't have it on my desk because I'm not playing with it.
I actually got pretty excited. I was looking through a pile the other day and I saw all my copies of Vengevine from when I played Hogak back in the day, because Vengevine's going back up with this new Hollow One deck.
Yep.
So
Goblin Guide.
Goblin Guide is the 2/2.
So it's a 2/2 for 1 red with haste, and when you attack, the defending player reveals the top card of the library. If it's a land, they get to put it into their hand. So if it's not a land, at least you have some information on what they're going to be drawing.
For sure. Yeah, no, it's always I mean, it's a 2/2 with haste, so it's very, very good. You're probably not going to be replacing your Goblin Guide in your red aggro deck, and Ragavan not having prowess kind of hurts it a little bit for the Izzet prowess decks, but card advantage and mana advantage when you deal damage is pretty good.
Yeah, I play Revolt Zoo. It doesn't have haste, obviously, and I need the stuff to come out because in Modern they're playing Shocklands.
Right.
And they're gonna probably deal 4 of the damage of the 20 that they have to themselves. And I love that for them. I love the journey that they're on. Please do it with 3 of them, actually. Take yourself down to 14. Because I only have because I don't have to deal 14.
Just make sure you get them to 0 in case they're playing Death Shadow.
Sure.
Yeah, just careful. That's what I'm saying.
Careful. So, and if we can do it in about 15 minutes, both games, and go get snacks, even better.
There you go. The other thing I'm looking at for this Ragavan, it being a legendary creature, is probably holding it back too. It's like your 1-drop red creatures you want to play 4 of, but if you have 3 in your opening hand, that's bad. Yeah,
you have to. I guess your mulligan game's got to be upped if you're playing with that. I don't know. Right now, it's around $70. It was $100 just the other day. Please don't pre-order cards when they're crazy like this.
Yeah, not Ragavan.
No,
I think that's gonna settle down.
It's gonna come down. Maybe not real low, but it's gonna come down a lot. And if you want, you can just use the Ragavan token that the Kari Zev made from forever ago.
That one doesn't say pirate. You can't use it. Sorry. It's just the monkey. It hasn't become a pirate yet.
It wasn't a pirate at all. It was just monkey.
It was just a monkey token. Yeah.
Okay.
But Kari Zev was a pirate, so you can still do that. So one other card that I like, and it is for very niche decks, but I think it's important to point it out in case you do have one of these decks, is Echoing Return. Echoing Return is a 1-mana sorcery for a black that says return target creature card and all other cards with the same name as that card from your graveyard to your hand. Typically, you're not going to be running a card like this in Commander because you're going to have 1 creature card in your graveyard that shares a name with anything else. But in decks where you're running Shadowborn Apostles and Relentless Rats and Persistent Petitioners, if you're running black and blue for your Persistent Petitioners deck, this particular card is going to be very good to return them all back to your hand from your graveyard. There's another card from Aether Revolt called Secret Salvage that people have been running in its stead that maybe you're going to be able to get to replace. So Secret Salvage is a 3 black sorcery that says exile target non-land card from your graveyard, search your library for any number of cards with the same name as that card, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. So Echoing Return is not going to search your library, but it is going to return everything from your graveyard, which is particularly important in Shadowborn Apostle decks. It's also pretty good in just a Keurig deck if you're looking to you just have 1 more sorcery that costs just a black.
Yeah.
And it costs 2 life in your deck instead. So
exactly.
That was the last individual card that I wanted to talk about. But Andy, since you talked about a deck that you had built or you were looking to put cards in, I would like to talk about a deck that got 4 cards that I haven't built yet.
Okay.
But it might just finally set it over.
Okay.
And this is a Surveil deck because we got Surveil in this set.
Surveil is a mechanic that I think they've realized it was good, and I hope they landed on Surveil as the Dimir mechanic if we happen to go back to Ravnica again and we stick with it, because Cypher wasn't it.
Right. Which is why, and
Transmute, I don't think it was it.
I agree completely, which is why I got a little bit confused when I saw that there is a red card with this keyword Surveil on it now. There's also a white card.
They do throw all these mechanics. They're trying to just throw it onto cards at this point. So Yeah, I hear you.
Which it is. I have seen some modern gameplay of Dragon's Rage Channeler, the red card that I'm talking about, and it's particularly good. So you should check out that. But the 4 Surveil cards in Esper colors that I was looking at is Foul Watcher, which is a 1/2 flyer that has Enter the Battlefield, Surveil 1. I have Sinister Starfish. It's a 2-mana 0/3 Starfish. So you can tap it to Surveil 1. Dakin Shadow Slayer, one of our planeswalkers that we have that has a plus ability to Surveil 2. It costs a white, a blue, and a black. And then Master of Death, which is a white, blue, black zombie wizard. When it enters the battlefield, you get to Surveil 2. So these 4 inclusions, these cards also have other abilities, by the way.
They do more things than
yes,
Surveil.
I didn't go through the entire thing, but the fact that they have Surveil in them is why I want to include them. There was a deck that we talked about when the Surveil mechanic first came out that I was very excited for. I don't know if you remember, my standard deck was Surveil 2.
Yeah, this is the thing that makes you Surveil twice.
That's
correct?
right.
What's it called again?
It's called Enhanced Surveillance.
Enhanced Surveillance.
Enhanced Surveillance is a 2-mana enchantment that says whenever you surveil twice.
Coyle tried to make that work.
I mean, I won some games in Standard.
In Standard,
yes.
You can make it work, but I know you wanted to make that work in Commander, just wasn't enough support.
Right. So 4 more cards probably still isn't enough support.
Probably not.
But we're going to do it anyways because now's the time.
Yeah.
And since it does revolve so much around this one enchantment, and I'm in Esper colors, and I need to find this enchantment and put it on the battlefield as fast as possible, I decided Zur the Enchanter was the best commander for this. Swing once and you go grab your enchantment. And so thus the beginnings of my Zurveil deck has started.
Oh, man. Coyle. All right. So now that we've gone through the cards we want to add to our decks, we each tried to pick a commander that we wanted to build. Coyle, lay it on us. So we didn't talk about these 2 commanders yet, but the one that I am going to talk about is Zabaz the Glimmer Wasp. So I know a lot of people looked at this and were like, this doesn't really do a whole lot. So Zabaz is a 0/0 insect legendary artifact creature that costs 1 colorless, has modular 1. If a modular triggered ability would put 1 or more +1/+1 counters on a creature you control, that many +1/+1 counters are put on it instead. And then it has pay a red to destroy target artifact you control, or pay a white to give it flying until end of turn. So I don't have, the only artifact deck that I played before was Rona, and it was a blue-black, specifically just like a combo deck. And
other than Duretti. You had Duretti too.
I guess I had Duretti for a while. It was mostly just like an upgraded precon for a bit, but I guess that's fair. I didn't really think, but I have a bunch of artifacts that are they're not doing anything. They're just kind of sitting in a box, sleeved. And this seems really fun. I don't have a modular deck, but I'm going to be spending some time on Zabaz next week as well, because there are some real fun things that you can do as Zabaz. And if it's your commander, at least it's one part of your little combo and what you can do with it. But I also don't have a modular deck, and I know a lot of people want to build around modular. It's not necessarily a modular deck like the Marchesa of the Dusk.
Marchesa of the Black Rose.
Yeah, or and the other one, Alenda of the Dusk Rose.
Alenda of the Dusk
Rose, which is the Black Rose. And this is not so much modular, similar to that. Like the deck tech we did, Chris Wolf had a deck tech. I'm interested to see what can happen with this. And you can destroy an artifact you control by paying red. I'm not sure if there's a reason why I'd want to yet, but I haven't figured it out.
Because modular.
Well, other than, I don't want to kill Zabaz though.
True. You don't want to kill, but you can kill all of your other modular creatures.
You can.
Yes.
I don't know if there's a reason that I want to do that yet. That like killing it, moving counters doesn't end the game. I have to figure out like what I want to do. But you can play the Ozolith. I mean, so counters can go.
And you probably could play Walking Ballista too. Finish someone off with a Walking Ballista.
This does say instead you put it on them. I wonder if how does the Ozolith work with?
Whenever a creature would die that has counters, it doesn't take the counters and put them on the Ozolith.
Right.
It duplicates them onto the Ozolith.
But this one does say instead. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on the idea yet, but I look at a commander that costs 1 with like 2 abilities and a keyword mechanic.
And it's in colors too, which is beneficial.
And it makes me want to do something with it. Like this is a card that screams, please build me in Commander.
Yes. Now I see this card and all of the other modular support in Modern Horizons too, and obviously they made it that way so that you would be driven towards that. But in the back of my head, we just had Osgear. Who cares about sacrificing your own artifacts and stuff? So this might just fuel an Osgear modular strategy too.
Yeah.
You just throw all of these cards into 99.
Now I know Arcbound Ravager is going up quite a bit right now.
Sure is.
It's getting popular
My
again.
$50 Osgear upgrade is now like an $80 or $90 Osgear upgrade.
Because of the Arcbound Ravager.
Arcbound Ravager, Mesmeric Orb, everything in there was going up in price. Artifacts are going up in price right now.
Sure. All right, what are you building? What are you, if you had to pick one today?
Yes. If I had to pick one today, I would build mono green because mono green is the best color combination in Magic the Gathering, better than mono black. I would build Thrasta, Tempest Roar. So Thrasta is like the storm dinosaur.
This card
commander.
has so many words on it.
Yeah. So I mean, there's at least I can pronounce the name though. Of Thrasta, Tempest's Roar.
Yeah.
So it's 10 green for a legendary creature dinosaur. It's 7/7, so 7 power, 7 toughness. Says this spell costs 3 less to cast, 3 generic less to cast for each other spell cast this turn. It has trample and haste, and trample over planeswalkers. So this creature can deal excess combat damage to the controller of the planeswalker it's attacking. Thrasta Tempest Roar has hexproof as long as it entered the battlefield this turn, which is very important for the strategy we're going to be utilizing, which is not swinging with Thrasta, but sacrificing Thrasta to a food chain and getting infinite casts.
I like that. I have a question though. Now that I think so, if you swing at a planeswalker, let's say it has 1 pip left,
1 loyalty.
1 loyalty.
Yeah.
And they swing with and they block with creatures. So you trample over onto the planeswalker. If there's still more, do you then trample over onto the player? Because you trample over the creatures and then trample over planeswalkers. Does it work that way?
The creature can deal excess combat damage to the controller of the planeswalker it's attacking. So you're attacking the planeswalker. So yeah, I guess so.
I find that it's really interesting if they block with so you're, let's say you have 1 damage trampling over. You deal like 4 to a creature, whatever you need to the planeswalker. If there's still 1 left, then it goes to the player.
I think so.
That's cool.
Yeah,
it's cool.
It's a really creative way to get around a ghostly prison. So here's this
oh my
huge
gosh.
scenario.
I did not even think of this.
You harmless offering a planeswalker to somebody that has a ghostly prison, because it's ghostly prison. You only have to pay to attack the player, not their planeswalkers. Then you attack the planeswalker and it tramples over onto them.
Oh my gosh, I love this, and I will play a Zedru deck to give something away so that you can.
Perfect. Now, again, I don't plan on swinging with Thrasta, and we will talk about the Thrasta combo with Food Chain next week.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it's going to be a mono green storm deck the way that Richard Garfield told us to play Magic in 1992.
Yeah. So there's a few cards that reprinted in Modern with if you just want to mention them real quick.
I really like that we got Goblin Bombardment reprinted. It was getting pretty expensive. It's a way to sacrifice your creatures to ping people in red. Cursed Totem was a very, very expensive card, preventing creature abilities from being activated, that we got reprinted for 2 generic mana. Sterling Grove, giving us our enchantments Shroud and having the ability to search for an enchantment. This was a really great reprint that brought the price of Sterling Grove down a lot. Cabal Coffers, I got to mention it.
We like it.
Amazing, sweet new artwork for its alternate frame. And then the fact that it got reprinted is going to bring that price down. It was over $100 recently. I know it's at least down to $80 now. So hopefully that keeps coming down.
We'll take every dollar.
And Mirari's Wake was a card that's been printed twice. Again, I think it was in a precon, the Cats precon, and it was in Conspiracy. Also has some really cool alternate artwork for it, bringing that price down. I know, Andy, you talked about Mirari's Wake being a trade filler outer for a while.
Oh my gosh, and I didn't realize it was so expensive.
Right.
Yeah. Good times.
So we're getting that as a reprint too. So hopefully those we'll see some price decreases.
Yeah.
I don't think any of these are going to have too much impact in Modern itself. So we really will only see the price differences when Commanders start.
Yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. Yeah, we'll see how that shakes out. Well, that's it for our episode this week. Thank you all for joining us. If you want to contact us, you can find our podcast online at theguardianprojectpodcast.com. And you can find our social media on Twitter at GuardianPod, our gameplay videos at youtube.com/theguardianproject. And you can email us at guardianprojectpod@gmail.com.
That's right.
Don't spell the whole word out, because we're not going to get your email. You can find me on Twitter at ATFloyd.
And you can find me on Twitter at WormCoilEngine. Of course, we want to give a special thanks to our producer and editor, Ryan Nichols. Thank you so much. And we want to give another special thanks to Chris Wolf, who handles all of our graphic design. Thank you so much.
New playmat design. We should have it real soon.
Yeah, that's right. I'm very excited.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. And we'll talk to you all guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.